Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we explore timeless stories from the Bible, making them real and relatable for today. Today, we are diving into one of the most profound and challenging stories, when God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son, Isaac. It's a story that makes us gasp, makes us question, and ultimately challenges our understanding of faith itself. So, let's travel back in time to a desert land and meet a man whose faith would be tested like no other. Imagine Abraham, a man of incredible faith who had left everything he knew to follow God's call. God had promised him descendants as numerous as the stars, a great nation. But for years, there was no child. He and his wife Sarah were old, well past the age of having children. It seemed impossible. Yet Abraham believed in a miracle. Sarah gave birth to a son, Isaac, whose name means laughter. This child was the fulfillment of a divine promise, the beacon of all their hopes and dreams. Isaac was everything to Abraham, the living proof of God's faithfulness. Years passed. Isaac grew from a baby to a boy, a young man full of life and promise. Abraham loved him deeply as any father loves his son. Their bond was precious, built on years of shared joy and anticipation. Then one day the unthinkable happened. God spoke to Abraham. Abraham, here I am. Abraham replied, perhaps with a sense of peace, as he was used to hearing from God. But then God's command came, shattering that peace. Take your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you. Can you even begin to imagine the crushing weight of those words? His only son, the child of promise, the son he loved with every fiber of his being. God, who had given him Isaac, was now asking for him back, in the most agonizing way imaginable. Every paternal instinct, every human reason would have cried out against it. Abraham must have felt his world collapse. My only son, the son of the promise? How can this be? Is this truly God? The God of love asking for such a thing? A wave of ice and fire must have washed over Abraham. A battle of unimaginable proportions raging within his soul. Doubt, grief, confusion, terror, they all must have screamed at him. If Isaac is gone, what becomes of the promise? What becomes of everything I've believed? Yet underneath the storm, the quiet, unwavering faith, a trust built over decades with God, began to assert itself. He is God. He knows. He will provide. But how? Abraham rose early the next morning, not because he wanted to, not without a heart heavy with sorrow, but because he was compelled by a deeper, agonizing obedience. I must do as he commands, even if I don't understand, even if it breaks me. He saddled his donkey, cut the wood for the burnt offering, and with Isaac and 2 servants, began the silent, heartbreaking journey to Moriah. 3 days they traveled, every step a torment. Each sunrise brings us closer. Each sunset feels like a farewell. Imagine the conversations he didn't have, the glances he couldn't meet, the unspeakable burden he carried alone. He watched Isaac, laughing, playing, completely unaware of the fate that awaited him, and Abraham's heart must have broken 1,000 times. My son, my precious Isaac, how can I do this to you? How can I do this to myself? He wrestled with God, with himself, with every fiber of his being. Yet his feet continued to move forward, guided by a faith that transcended understanding. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He turned to his servants. Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship and then we will come back to you. And we will come back, both of us. God must have a plan, he promised. Even then, a flicker of hope, or perhaps a profound declaration of faith that somehow both he and Isaac would return. He placed the wood on Isaac, the very wood that would fuel his own sacrifice. Abraham carried the fire and the knife, his hands surely trembling as they walked together, father and son, towards the unknown. The silence between them must have been deafening, until Isaac, innocent and curious, broke it. Father? Yes, my son. Abraham managed, his voice undoubtedly thick with emotion, his heart pounding. The fire and wood are here, Isaac observed, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham's heart must have shattered into 1,000,000 pieces at that question. The lamb, Isaac, is the lamb. How do I tell him? How do I explain this horror? He looked at his precious son, the boy whose life he was about to surrender, and with a voice filled with an unshakable yet agonizing faith, he replied, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." He didn't know how, but he believed it. He had to. He must. He has never failed me before. He will provide a way, or he will raise Isaac from the dead. I must trust him. They reached the summit. Abraham built the altar, stone by stone, each one a monument to his despair and his devotion. Then came the moment. He arranged the wood, and with tears streaming down his face, he bound his beloved son, Isaac. Isaac, still trusting, still without a full understanding, allowed his father to tie him to the altar on top of the wood. And then Abraham, with a soul torn asunder, picked up the knife. His hand, heavy with unimaginable grief and obedience, rose into the air, ready to strike, ready to fulfill the most terrifying command he had ever received.